All right. Ah, there we go. Greetings, everyone. We had a little bit of a false start, but we are actually live this time. I hope you are all doing well and having a good night. Welcome to another episode of Brony Debates Live. Now, somebody's going to have to do something about that typing. And now, anyway, tonight we've got a little bit of a more fun stream. Hang on a second. I'm multitasking. I'm not doing a very good job tonight. There we go. And anyway, so Heather Blossom decided she wanted to talk about the Dere types of the main six. So Heather, I have you with me here.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on. Define our terms. What are the Dere types?
So, for those of the unfamiliar, the Dere types are different, personality tropes in anime, normally pertaining to romantic story arcs. There are more than I can count, but for starters, we have, there's some obvious ones if you're familiar with popular anime. Let's go with something very popular and very well known as Pokemon. Some would say Misty from Pokemon is a tsundere, someone who isn't upfront with how they actually feel, can actually act rather hostile toward their romantic interest. There's yanderes, with someone who's kind of pulling a two-face move, where they're friendly and charming and outgoing on the surface, but underneath they are actually total psychopaths. So what we're going to do today is go through the main six and think, theoretically, if they are in a romantic storyline, what would most likely be their personality Dere type?
Alrighty then, this sounds absolutely horrifying. And joining us tonight, we've got some more folks from the Patreon server from the Canterlot Academy. Joining us in the other room is Chucklyfun. How are you doing tonight, Bryan?
Hey there. I often join Brawny and his crew on some of the Brony fights, but I've joined in before on the debate over them's fighting herds, and as a veteran of anime, I decided that this might interest me because most of these tropes come from anime. And I'm feeling great, just looking forward to a fun weekend and talking about some good stuff.
Yep, and in case anybody doesn't know, Bryan is the toaster sitting in the middle of the table. Also joining us is one of our more usual guests, Mr. DJ Skywalker. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, everyone. Been a busy week, ready for fun weekend.
All right, yeah, I know you've had a busy week. You just moved into a house, didn't you?
Yep, got my own digs.
Dang, you sound almost as tired from that as...
Who needs apartments?
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling that myself. And also joining us one more time is Princess Sunshine Sparkle. How are you doing today, Sunshine?
I am tired, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Alrighty then. So, before we get any further, I gotta give a big shout out to my very generous supporters on Patreon, who help make my streaming and continued content creation possible. I'm especially grateful to the people on the $10 and up tier, 3 of which are in this conversation. They are Princess Heather Blossom, DJ Skywalker, Princess Sunshine Sparkle, as well as Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden, Girder, Senko, Jennan, Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, Stephen A. Wilson, Rein-Kun, Bootleg Bard, The Silly Fox, Zoroark 720, and the Equestrian City Heroverse series. Most of those guys have their own links to their own content listed in the description. I highly encourage you to check them all out and thank them for their support. If you would like to get on the show, I'd love to have you. We just need you to get on the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And then you're in the rotation to be on Friday Night Fights and Brony Debates Live, depending on if you like the topic. So if you happen to be joining us for the first time, what we're going to do is we're going to have our Princess Heather go through what she believes these personality types are. we're gonna hopefully argue about that a bit, and once we get through the main 6, we're gonna go through all the different types of Deres, because there's a lot more than just 6, and assign them to other characters. If you would like to follow along, I'll have our sources on screen, but they are also linked in the description right under the part where I dread doing this stream. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask them. I'll be watching the chat and copying down the interesting ones, and we'll deal with them in the last 15 minutes of the stream. That'll being said, let's get started. So Heather, pick us a character and what Dere you believe they are.
Alright, well, let's start with an easy one. Rainbow Dash, the girl that couldn't admit that she liked reading and has a hard time expressing her geeky love for her pet tortoise Tank, which we've seen on a few occasions. I believe she is a tsundere, without a doubt. And please, if you disagree, please tell me your reasoning and see if you can tell me a different Dere you think she represents more thoroughly. So I say tsundere for Rainbow Dash. Yeas and nays?
I actually have no arguments, so you're starting off on a pretty strong foot here. DJ, what do you think?
I think tsundere pretty much fits her to a T.
All right,
I don't think
Sunshine?
there's anything else you can fall into.
Sunshine, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. I think there's literally nothing else to say about Rainbow Dash.
Oh my gosh, you guys are... Chucklyfun, shoot her down.
Alright, so I totally agree with Princess Heather Blossom on Rainbow Dash being a tsundere. One of the primary interesting parts about Rainbow Dash, she's often very prideful, very often proud and outgoing about how she's the best, but then sometimes you get to see her weakness, and she's actually, while also claiming to be the best, also claiming like she gets embarrassed very easily if something goes wrong. And if you remember back to the original Sonic Rainboom episode, she was very nervous about performing the Sonic Rainboom, her best move, in front of a crowd after she had some problems doing it earlier in practice. And then she was actually cowering, actually hiding away, actually did not want to come out and show her face to anyone because she was just afraid and ashamed that she'd mess up. And that is classic, I think, tsundere behavior.
All right, so yeah, you don't have any arguments for Heather either?
No, I'm totally agreeing with her.
Oh,
okay.
Absolute support.
Yeah,
Totally.
it sounds like we are all in agreement on that, so we might as well move on to the next character, Heather.
All right, so here comes one that could split it two ways. We have Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie, I think, is a Dere. She is like the core Dere type. When she is loved, she is a often cheerful and outgoing individual, and usually she wears what she feels on her sleeve. If she's happy and happy to see you, you're gonna know it. And you can just look to any example of Pinkie Pie expressing herself as an example. I'm struggling to find an example here, just because there's just so many, I think. Like her introduction to Twilight Sparkle, first episode. She went through so many emotions so quick, and what we saw was a huge surprise, very expressive, and then later we see her just going off the rails when interacting with every other pony. So, Pinkie Pie being a Dere, yay or nay?
So, it sounds like the Dere, according to this here, refers to a character who is completely kind, happy, and energetic. Certainly does sound like Pinkie, but Pinkie's got a bit of a duality to her, where she can get depressed, and then just drag down the whole room and really do some damage to somebody's psychology. So, are we sure that qualifies her as a Dere?
Well, that's a good argument to bring up, because now that I think of it, Yandere could also express Pinkie if we're going to the extremes, if we're thinking of her Pinkamena Diane Pie trope. If we look back to a party of one, how she kind of went off the rails where things weren't going her way. And that's
like this picture right here.
Yeah, when you're going PG, That's about as deranged as you can get. And fun fact, yanderes also have the trope of having pink hair. So that's another point in that favor. So what do you guys?
So that means Fluttershy's a yandere too.
Maybe she can get
Stay
pretty
out of my
twisted.
shed.
Yeah.
We can debate about that when we get to Fluttershy.
Right. So DJ, what do you think? Pinky it goes between Dere and yandere.
I'm not going to argue about the Dere part. That one fits kind of spot on, but I don't think yandere fits her at all. If anything, I think Baka Dere and Utsu Dere kind of work more when she gets.
All right. So what was that? What was that second one that you said? Utsu Dere.
Utsu Dere.
All right. So let's
refers
read.
to characters who are often sad and depressed,
Okay.
often from the result of bullying.
All right. Chucklyfun, what do you think about this?
I want to bring up another scenario where she did kind of display some very yandere characteristics in the show, and we're not talking about the Party of One episode. I'm actually referring to when Maud Pie comes back and gets a boyfriend, and Pinkie Pie starts getting a bit jealous and starts trying to intervene and show up everywhere in Maud Pie's life and starts getting oppressive. And it doesn't go quite to the lengths that a classic yandere in anime will do, where they're actually like pulling out knives and weapons. But Pinkie Pie did get pretty crazy and pretty serious in that episode for the My Little Pony series.
That's a good argument. What do the rest of you guys say?
Sunshine had to step away for a second to deal with a Discord issue. Apparently, he's having trouble with his, I'm going to guess, his microphone. So we've heard everybody weigh in on that. I would say that in that particular instance, that Pinky certainly read like a yandere, but I would expect a yandere to be more violent than she was. The closest I've ever seen Pinky get to violent is when she was trying to get Starlight and Maud to be friends, and blew up a cavern and was and was hitting people over the head with pizza boxes and things like that. So I feel like yandere, especially with the connotation that it tends to have in pop culture, is a lot more severe, a lot more extreme on that side of the spectrum. So I'm having trouble buying yandere when she gets into one of those moods.
You're right. And also, a yandere typically doesn't evolve into, someone, like, they're not very sympathetic to their love interest. They'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. And Pinkie Pie has learned humility and to accept that not everything can go her way. Like when she had to accept that Rainbow Dash just didn't like pie. She learned, okay, you don't like pie. That's perfectly fine at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And she learns to make condolences. And like with Cranky Doodle Donkey, she had to accept that he liked his alone time with his eventual wife, and that sometimes he liked to keep it quiet. So she makes compromises, which is something you don't normally see a yandere do.
What do we think about that, gentlemen?
One thing that I had heard beforehand on a different discussion area, they were asking if these various romantic types exist in real life, and one of the responses was that these romantic types are tied to story arcs as much as they are to characters. Mm-hmm. So we'd be looking at Pinkie Pie within the story arc more than we would be looking at Pinkie Pie as an entire character. Now, Pinkie Pie does have an overall story arc as well, and it all needs to be consistent. But one of the points that I'm making here is that we need to be thinking like, okay, Pinkie Pie in that story arc, which romantic type is she actually using? So if she's being obsessive over Maud Pie, is there a better Dere type out there than yandere, because she's not exactly being very Dere there?
she could be something that's because like both of these, well, Yandere is heading to a really high extreme, and Dere perhaps is a bit too optimistic because she does take things pretty hard. So maybe if there's a Dere that's kind of like middle of the road, which I don't know, I'm not seeing anything in our research that's like it really is hitting that note.
Sunshine, are you back with us? No, he's Sunshine is not back with us yet. So DJ, what do you think about that? Have you in your research found anything that might be somewhere in the middle between what did you say, a Dere and a Yandere? Well, that's the midpoint of two very extreme scenarios here. I would sooner put Pinky as what's here as a Bakadere. So on the HX Hector, and let me get this back on the screen so you guys can see it. The Bakadere type refers to a character who is clumsy and stupid for the most part, but innocent and sweet. Now, I don't know about the clumsy and stupid part. She has her moments where she's the most dexterous pony there, and she has her moments where she breaks through walls without seeing it, sometimes even just the fourth wall. And, but the innocent and sweet is almost always there, sometimes even to a fault. I think of Philly Vanilli when I think about the innocent to a fault, just not even knowing what you're doing, just beating somebody over the head with a bat and not even realizing what they're doing.
I don't think Pinky knows what the fourth wall is, Brownie.
Well, you know what I meant though. But the and welcome back, by the way. The word is a compound of baka, which means stupid or moron, and dere, which means lovey-dovey. So, she does not always read a situation very well. So I would sooner put her as a Bakadere because I feel like that can be a more versatile type of person, even if they are still simple in their own way. What do you guys think about that?
Honestly, I think for Pinky, it's just going to have to take bits and pieces of certain ones since she is kind of all over the place. So I don't think there's going to be one that completely fits her.
What do you think about that?
That's going to be true for a few of the characters.
What do you think about that, Sunshine?
I can agree with both Dere and Bakadere on the simple fact of she is very, very, very energetic, as well as very short-sighted, as she doesn't always see what's in front of her right away and can easily overlook things.
All right, so we're dealing with a duality, and this might play more into what Chucklyfun was saying about it depending a lot more on the story and the situations directing her character and her decisions a lot more than anything else. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
And Chucklyfun, did I interpret what you were saying correctly?
Yeah, so I'd like to pull out one example of Pinkie Pie potentially being a Bakadere. I don't agree with it being a good guiding principle for her type, but I do remember there was an episode where Pinkie Pie had the pinky sense, and it was driving Twilight Sparkle crazy. And it wasn't necessarily being clumsy or stupid, but it did trade in some of those tropes. A lot more than Pinky normally does, and what was important about this is that it actually affected the relationship. So Twilight was in conflict in some sense with Pinkie Pie because she was having trouble dealing with Pinkie Pie's craziness, which normally isn't an issue for conflict between the ponies as much as it was in that episode.
Okay, what do you think about that, Heather, before we move on?
I really need to digest that a bit. Because, like, before I was totally like, Dere, but I'm like, you know what, I'm seeing your guys' point. So I'm divided on it. But,
I win. I'm taking it. Hey,
yeah, sure, you win. You
none
win.
of that. All right. So, how about the next character then?
Let's go to Rarity. Rarity, I would strongly classify her as a Himidari. Himidari is a Dere type that wants to be treated like a princess. And we've seen that with Rarity. When she had interest in Prince Blueblood in The Best Night Ever, she wanted to be engaged to a prince. She wanted to be treated like a lady, and when he turned out to be a total freaking prissy spaz, she was not having it.
Yeah, so let's see here. The Hime Dere type refers to a character who wishes to be treated like a princess. Yeah, like you were saying there. And we're looking at two different websites. I'm looking at the...
it says the same thing.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same thing. So, Bryan, this is that chick that you got a thing for that, like, laughs into the back of her hand in the most haughty way possible. Don't do it. I do not feel like clipping the audio on my stream tonight.
Can I do it?
So,
I'd rather you didn't.
This joke here already. What he's referring to is a character called an Ajosama, which is an anime trope where you have a character who acts like they want to be treated like a princess, but it's called an Ajosama because in that sense, the trope is not a romantic type, it's a plot trope, and they're often a villain character or somebody whose royalty is a conflict, often to somebody who's of the same sex. So you'll have a character who is like the normal kid at the school, and they'll have a princess character at the school, or somebody who's the daughter of a big business leader, and they'll do this obnoxious laugh into their hand whenever they do something, and they're laughing at you, they're not laughing with you.
Yeah, so is Rarity this Hime Dere?
I say yay.
Well, of course you do. You picked it. I'm asking, you know who I'm asking right now? I'm asking Sunshine right now.
I can agree with it. At the same time, I can also see a part of Tsundere in there, as for Spike, as he is the one that loves Rarity with all his heart. She tends to treat him very poorly towards the beginning, but tends to see him more as an equal later on in the series.
Well, Tsundere doesn't sound right because with Tsundere you have to
partly.
Well, with Tsundere you have to actually like what you're being a Tsundere against, or whatever however that should be worded. DJ, what do you think of Rarity being a Himedere?
Honestly, it seems to be the best fit. I can't really think of another one that would probably work for her.
Yeah, the only other time she's been in a romantic type situation was with Trenderhoof. And I don't see a Dere that really fits with what she was trying to do there. She was trying to get his attention by changing herself, but there's not really a Dere for that. At least as far as we've seen.
You might be right, because I'm scrolling through these this website that I have open here, and I'm not seeing anything that quite matches that. Chucklyfun, what do you think?
So I definitely agree on the Himedare, but I think everyone brought up some good points that I don't think that Rarity actually fits the Himedare trope for either of those contexts. I think that she's doing something different there. In the one, she's obviously actually trying to be the opposite of a princess. So we've got this weird contrast where normally she wants to be treated like a princess, but for the sake of this one particular interest, she does not want to be treated like that. She actually wants to be treated like a commoner. And it might have been a little out of her character. That was kind of an awkward episode for me. But I'm not too focused on that one. But it's a good discussion.
Which episode in specific?
Can anybody else remember it?
Trenderhoof.
Oh, yeah. That was Simple Ways.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So continue.
The other one would be Spike. And I think Spike is very much with her character. I'm going to agree with Brawny and disagree with, I think, DJ, in that I don't think that she's a tsundere there because she doesn't really share any... She doesn't The reason why she pushes Spike off is not because she's embarrassed. And embarrassment is a key factor in a tsundere, and I don't see her having it. She's also not very violent or reactive to Spike. It's mostly like she doesn't even realize he's there.
Okay.
There's variations of it throughout the series in different episodes, but she brushes him off like she can't take it seriously.
Okay, so here's what I'm seeing for rarity. I'm seeing Canadere. The Canadere refers to a type who is attracted to others with money and status. So, blue blood, fancy pants, Trenderhoof.
You calling Rarity a gold digger?
Yeah, he is, and he's doing it to spite me.
Argument.
Well, I mean, so what part of what I just said is wrong? Because the 3 times we've seen her pursue somebody in the show was always something about it. It was always something about their status and their connection, something like that.
I could see that.
Right.
So the reason, sorry.
So go ahead, Bryan.
So the reason why I missed this was because I was focused on the money aspect, and that is not how I thought of Trenderhoof. But if we allow ourselves a bit more freedom of interpretation, and we aren't exclusively thinking about digging for gold, but instead of status as money, I think that this fits very well. At least with the real romantic situations that she's put herself into.
And what do you think, DJ? Rarity is a Kanedere instead of a Himedere.
I can only really see it in the part for Blue Blood, because it didn't seem to be that Trenderhoof's status is what she liked. She just kind of thought he was hot.
Well, she did pin him as like it seemed to be the way I interpreted that episode, that the fact that he was very well known in the fashion journalism circuit was a big deal to her.
And we can make the argument similarly that when Photo Finish came around, she had a similar approach. Even if there wasn't a romantic angle to it, she was very much focused on the status part of Photo Finish to drive their relationship.
What do you think about all that, Heather?
I can definitely see it, because I don't like the way it sounds, because it sounds like she is like a gold digger and like grubbing for that kind of thing, but it makes sense from Rarity's character because it is about status, but in a more innocent way. It's her wanting to be successful and achieve something, and maybe admiring those aspects in another, and like probably being nearby hoping it would rub off on her. So I could agree in a more optimistic light. I don't like to speak bad of my best girl.
Right, but then every time she does that, she gets her butt kicked. She got her butt kicked by Blue Blood. She not necessarily, because it wasn't even all that romantic with Fancy Pants, but she, to a degree, like left the Canterlot life behind to spend more time with her friends when she could have been socializing with the High Elite. And then Trenderhoof happened, and she just, got completely passed up for Applejack, and realized how horrible of a person Trenderhoof really was. So every time she's done that, she's gotten her butt kicked, and it seemed like towards the end of the series, she sort of learned her lesson about that kind of thing and stopped going for that type of person. So did her trope change? Did she become a different type of Dere by the end of the series?
She became an old maid.
How dare you?
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you are wrong. She may be older, but you don't know that she's a maid. We don't know her status. Why are we judging her? She could be married, and you guys just don't know it. She's
I'm pretty sure if that were the
Don't
case, they would have shown. She had
this
Yona and
conversation with me again.
she had Yona and Sandbar. I'm pretty sure living in her house.
They work.
She's
there.
like-
No, you're making speculations.
I am. I'm speculating that she's like Sweetie Bloom and lives vicariously through others' romance.
You know what? Sweetie Bloom would be insulted. She doesn't like Rarity either, so she would not agree with you. I am so sick of this.
She doesn't need to agree with me to make me, like, that doesn't make me wrong
You know
if somebody
what? This
disagrees
is
with me.
unrelated to Dare's, and I'm beating the total crap out of you later. Because you're wrong, and you're jealous, and that's why you hate.
Alright, so finish your point.
Anyways, yeah, I could see it from an optimistic standpoint. Whatever.
And Sunshine, we haven't heard from you yet. What do you think about what do you think about our assessments? Who is correct here?
I could see her definitely as the and my brain just stopped. What dairy was it that you said, Brony?
The Canadary, if I'm pronouncing
Thank you,
that
the
correctly.
Canadary. My brain just stopped there for a moment.
That's all right.
It doesn't have an E between the N and the D, so I think we should be saying Condore.
Condore. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. I could definitely see it. The way she tends to be when there's people that are high status or have money involved that she's got an interest in, even if it's not romantically.
Mm-hmm.
I can see her wanting to show off a little bit towards that person's side. At the same time, she usually reverts back to an in-between that wanting to be a princess and wanting money side by always searching for new ways to increase her own profit, but always doing it elegantly.
And without compromising her own morals. We've seen that a few times as well, so we can definitely give her that. Who's our next character, Heather?
I just want to say, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with wanting somebody who is successful. But next, I wanted to move on to Fluttershy. Now, Fluttershy was a bit harder for me to pin, but I am erring on what this article says is the Dere. Refers to a character who is often silent and keeps to themselves, maybe due to shyness or whatever, but when alone with the person they are attracted to, they usually come out of their shell. I could definitely see that with Fluttershy, especially if it was someone she highly admired or liked. I mean, it's in her name, though in the series she came a long way. In a romantic setting, I could definitely see her maybe clamming up again, but as she gets more comfortable with her love interest, opening up.
Now, my job tonight is to try to disagree with you and prove you wrong, but I literally just last week came out with a video that pretty much showed Fluttershy at her best as a Dere. Discord and Harmony was Fluttershy as a Dere. Just completely closed off, as we know, very shy. Now, granted, at this point, she's had 6.5 seasons to work her way out of her shell, and which I've been getting some comments we could probably attribute to Discord. But, I had trouble believing on my first couple of viewings of that episode that Fluttershy enjoyed Discord's antics. Not just tolerated him, but actually enjoyed, what's the tea do? What is what crazy magic chaos thing did you do to the tea or the tea set and things like that, and getting all excited about it. So I'm unfortunately with Heather on this one. Chucklyfun, what do you think?
I'm definitely with Heather on this one. Fluttershy is an easy, hey, we can just put her in the generic Dere one as well, just because it's really hard to nail down what that one isn't. But I think Dere is more specific, that it gives her actual storyline, that she is very quiet. She doesn't really get romantic with anyone except when she actually starts building a really, really close relationship with them, which we see with Discord.
Yeah, well, the something about the Dere here is that in skimming through this particular article, it mentions several times for all the other tropes that it's derived from Dere. So yeah, this one is definitely harder to pin down. But I, under no circumstance, see Fluttershy as a Dere. DJ, what do you think between Heather's assessment and Chuckly's assessment? I
don't really see the Dere in Fluttershy. I do see the one that Heather was talking about, but also I kind of see a little bit of the Dere in her at times.
The Dere. Okay, so the Dere.
Shy, but can be violent at times.
Oh, we have seen her like massage wrestle a bear.
Yeah, she had to do some serious
She does have a bit of a
chiropractic.
violent streak, but they're for acts of kindness. So it's not a one-to-one thing with the Dere, but I see bits of it in her.
But it can be acts of violence too. Remember when Dragon Quest from Rainbow Dash tried to get her to watch the dragon migration? And she was like, "You promised me you'd watch the dragon migration with me." And Fluttershy stomped her out.
Do you remember Best Night Ever when the animals wouldn't give her a chance?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No,
mama,
well, she went full
mama.
yandere on that one.
Yeah, she did. But I'm saying she's not like that ordinarily, so the Dere might actually work. I can't believe I'm arguing against myself, but yeah,
And there was the Hulk out in the Power Ponies.
absolutely.
Yep. So that's interesting.
I see bits of them in there.
Do you concede on that point, Heather?
Definitely, it's more interesting. I'm totally cool for being wrong if it means like it would be a more interesting plot if she was involved in a romantic story arc.
All right, and Sunshine, we haven't heard from you on this one yet. What do you think?
I could definitely see Bondere. Wow, okay, I'm gonna smash my head into a wall now. I did definitely see Dere, simply because she's usually shy, even though like she's more open. She's still shy on a lot of things around her friends. And then on topics she feels strongly about, she may not violence, but she gets really mad and blows up on people.
All right, what's our next character? We got two.
Can I respond to the Dere?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I don't really know the Dere trait that well, or the trope that well, but my impression is that it's at least a little bit different from Fluttershy, in the sense that whenever Fluttershy acts violently in any sense, it almost completely disappears in just a few seconds once the conflict is resolved. Like,
Definitely. I'm gonna use an anime I had just finished called Totoro, where the main female character, while she tends to towards the end of it, she kind of picks up a little bit on the Dere trait, by becoming really shy around the male protagonist, and then lashing out on him when he does something incredibly stupid.
So, Chucklyfun, finish what you were gonna say.
all right, so the point was that it seems like the trope for this Dere seems to revolve a lot more significantly around like the violence and around like that being like something that people remember, whereas Fluttershy, if she ever gets violent, she immediately wants people to forget the violence, and that's not a part of her character. She can't let it be. Like, she almost does the violence to herself as much as her opponent whenever she gets violent.
Fair enough.
So, Heather, last thoughts on this one?
I'm pretty concluded on it.
All right, so who's our next character? We got two left.
Next is Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle was another one I had a hard time pinning, but I want to go in and say she's in Dere. Dere is the Dere type that refers to a character who's very nervous and embarrassed around their crush, someone who's easily flustered, and we've seen that with Twilight Sparkle a lot on her day-to-day basis. They have a term for it. She's twilighting, and if we go back to Equestria Girls, when we see our pony Twilight interact with Flash Sentry, she was very flustered around him and nervous and would do a lot of spazzy things. So Dere, is my first instinct when trying to assign one to Twilight Sparkle. But you know what? I'm more than happy to be wrong with this if you guys have a more interesting take.
Sunshine, what do you think?
You are gonna have to come back to me while I'm looking through these to try to figure out which one I think is best.
Alrighty then. DJ, what do you think?
That's the one I picked out for Twilight as well, though I do think there's also occasionally some Dere in her. Especially going back to an earlier example with feeling Pinky Keen, with how she can be very cold, blunt, and cynical.
All right, so let's read Kudere real quick here. Sometimes written as, that type refers to a character who's often cold, blunt, and cynical. Well, we've seen her be cold at times and blunt at times. I don't think I've ever seen Twilight be cynical. They may seem very emotionless on the outside. I'm not feeling Kudere at all there, DJ, but were you going to say something else?
Well, like I said, it's parts of it. Like going back to feeling Pinky keen, a lot of with how she was trying to science out Pinky, it was very cold. She saw Pinky as an experiment, no longer as a person. So that's kind of what I'm leaning more on, like the cold and blunt parts of her personality, especially when she gets all into her science. Not necessarily the emotionless part, but.
All right, and Chucklyfun, what do you think?
So I'm searching really hard here because it's pretty tough. Did anyone mention Dere already?
I don't believe so. Let me try
All right,
to
so let
find.
me present my argument for this one. Its character, which is similar to Kudere, which we've already mentioned. However, they do not show emotion, and they kind of act as if they have no interest in their love. Twilight tends to cover up some of her feelings by talking through things, and she'll often distract from the situation and move somewhere else. She's really confident around her books, and she's really confident around magic and theory, and she'll just dive straight into that as a way of avoiding showing any emotion and acting as if they have interest in somebody. So this one I think has potential, but I'd agree that it might be stretching the trope here.
What do you think, Heather?
I think I'm gonna stick to my Haji Dere. She does try to talk through things, but when it comes to like a high stress situation, she can tend to break down. I don't know. I feel like a Haji Dere is more flawed and more in line with how she deals with emotional situations that she can't logic through. And love is one of those battlefields where it's, the logic can be hard to apply.
I don't have anything to say to that, and I'm not seeing any other tropes that I think fit any better. So let's go to Sunshine. Did you come up with anything to say yet?
I read through every single list I had, and the only one that made sense is the Haji Dere, mainly because she gets very flustered around, especially when it's topics she has a very strong opinion on, and tends to, as they say, start twilighting on it.
All right, so no contest there. Heather, hit us with that apple buck.
So, Applejack, awful hard to pin her down. Awful hard, probably the hardest. But I'm going to just throw a wild card at you. I'm going to say she's a Kamadere. Now, it refers to a character with a god complex, but roll with me here. They're highly arrogant and proud and aren't afraid to speak their minds and show everyone how right they are. Now, I think she tones it down with the arrogance, but she definitely, is an I told you so type of character. And she, does speak her mind. And when it comes to romance, she might just be very, very direct with her approach. And I think the Kamadere would fall in line with that.
And if it's not that, it's that incredulous right eyebrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can say.
I didn't learn nothing at all.
So, yeah, that's certainly a point in Heather's favor. So, DJ, what do you think? Kamadere. Applejack
Kamadere
has
is
a
what
god complex.
It's what I had picked out for Applejack as well, but I also see some Hinedere in her.
Oh, yeah? Can we get to Hinedere? I need a...
Yeah, let's, so tell us why while I search that up on the screen.
Hinedares are the cynical worldviews, cold-hearted, and highly arrogant. So it does have the Kamadere in there, but I see it especially in the Bats episode.
Explain.
She did not care one iota what happened to those bats as long as they were gone. She was willing to murder those bats.
Sounds like a farmer to me. What do you think, Heather?
I'm not totally in line with that, because outside of Bats, when do we see her be overtly cynical? She's always the one to be positive and talk sense into everybody to make it through the situation.
Well, it takes a hint of cynicism to be the voice of reason in a group full of crazy chicks like that.
I suppose it does, but I guess when I'm thinking Hindere, I'm thinking of it to like a very higher degree, and also we have that arrogance playing in again, and cold-hearted and arrogant are just like, I could accept it with some of the arrogant and proud combos in Kamidare, but not so much in Hinidare.
Well, then there's also simple ways when Trenderhoof was trying to hit on her and she just wasn't having it then. The only time she ever really breaks down mentally is when family gets involved. Like, she just can't handle, but that doesn't have anything to do with anything romantically. She's just a very aromantic pony. So while you're thinking that over,
I do have another example for
okay,
it too,
let's hear it, DJ.
Applejack's day off.
Okay.
Throughout the entire episode, she completely ignores Rarity. Whether she means to or not, she has her hyper focus wherever an issue is and doesn't care about anyone else around her. So when Applejack has her focus, she can turn those emotions off and become completely oblivious to everyone else around her.
All right, Sunshine, what do you think? Sunshine has no thoughts.
Oh. Is my mic working now?
Yeah,
Yep.
Now it is.
There we go. I'm sorry about that. So while I 100% agree with the wow, I lost it. The Kamidare, she has tends to be very short-sighted when it comes to tasks she's doing and wants to do them by themselves. But she also, when it comes to her friends needing her help on subjects or her family, she also has trouble saying no, like in the episode with that Tunic and her saying that with the brothers who Flim and Flam, there we go, almost forgot their names. She just could not say no to what was going on and tell everyone what was going on. So I see a bit, just a little bit, not much, and I could argue against myself too, of Undari in there, but as I said,
So let me get my eyes back on Undare, so I can you spell that for me?
UN.
Okay.
This is on the HX Hector. I see it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is. I missed it. Okay, so the Undare.
I'd say Pinky is more towards that than anything else. I wish I'd seen that when we were discussing her, but
okay, so the type refers to a character who says yes to pretty much everything the one they love says. Okay, so now here's the real question. When we're talking about the one they love, and Applejack has a weakness for family, is it something different when it's family, or do these Dere tropes have to be in a romantic concept? Heather, what do you think?
Most of the time, yes, but I think I've definitely seen it in media where it leaks over into even their friendship and familial relationships.
Yeah, because Applebuck season was probably prime example of Applejack being an Undare if she was. But after that, we didn't see it happen nearly as much. In fact, most of the time, people were trying to tell her to calm down and not do stuff, and she's just like, nope, gotta go do it.
Yeah.
Chucklyfun, what do you think?
So I'm gonna disagree hard on the Himidare, or not Himidare, Kamidare. I do not think that she has the god complex. I've seen shows where they do have the god complex, and essentially they get to such a level that they force the entire plot and everyone's actions to revolve around them. And this isn't just about attention. This is about, like, shifting the very, like, nature of order around themselves. I do not think that she's at that level at all in terms of arrogance. We'd be talking about, like, Code Geass or something. So I do not also think that she's Hinagari. Again, I don't think that she's quite that arrogant. I'd be leaning more towards Kudere, where she tends to be pretty cool, which is the theme here. And she's pretty like stable, pretty just happy, cheerful, no matter what happens. And she's just like the type of relationship that is kind of lets people come to her almost.
Okay. And I think we've covered everybody.
Yes.
Did anybody want responses to that?
I can't debate you so thoroughly because I don't see the other Deres any more than I see my Kamidare assumption, but I'm leaning more to my Kamidare thing just because I don't know, it seems a little closer. I mean, I guess I'm disregarding the god complex thing more. I'm more of like the self-righteous upfront personality trait, but you know, I'll stick to my guns, but I definitely see where these other ones are coming from.
Alrighty then. So does anybody else want to add or take away anything before we move on to the next part?
I don't think so.
So Paladin Pony right just now said Cozy Glow has a god complex, I think. So
yeah, she's a Kamidare. Hardcore Kamidare.
Yeah, so they're, now that we've got an example of Kamidare, I think we can settle that Applejack is definitely not a Kamidare. So,
and we also have a couple other villains. Like if we're talking Fizzlepop Berry Twist, if we're talking Starlight Glimmer before she turned good, both of those I think did have potential god complexes where they forced the entire plot and everything around themselves, and we could talk about them in that sense.
Definitely.
All right. So now we're only running a little bit over time here, but we're good. So what we're gonna do is this is Amino Apps, where they have posted what they claim to be all of the Dere types. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rapid fire scroll through this, and any Deres that we haven't talked about on this stream so far, we're going to assign them a character. So here we've got Yandere. Here we've got Dondere, and I think we've talked about that. A character who is often silent and always shy and unattractive. Okay, so they're gonna be wording their definitions a little bit differently here. We've talked about Kudere, we've talked about Dere, we've talked about Hime Dere. OG Dere is just the male version of a Hime Dere. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. But if we must, blue blood.
Yep.
And definitely blue blood. An Undere. So let's character who's yep, we've talked about. Now a Mayadere. We haven't talked about this one, have we?
Starlight Glimmer.
A character who is often a dangerous antagonist of a series, but switches sides after falling in love with another character. Okay, so Vegeta.
I think we also need to consider Discord here.
Oh yeah, Discord is definitely one.
I could definitely throw Discord into that.
Fizzlepop Berry Twist.
Fizzlepop.
Who did Fizzlepop Berry Twist do it as part of a romantic relationship, or did she switch sides? Yes.
She switched sides, and she seemed to kind of do it for Twilight.
I was gonna say the reason I can put Discord under this very heavily is because the character tends to remain how they were, but for the protagonists, they tend to calm down and stuff.
Okay.
In the episode when Fluttershy's talking about her new friend, you can definitely see that a lot in Discord. That he still is causing chaos and stuff around him almost all the time in every episode he's in.
So Sunshine is here highlighting a second part of the definition, which we may not have made clear. The character may remain deadly and unpredictable for the protagonist or the other main character in the series.
So I would definitely say that's Starlight and Discord to a T.
Yeah.
Yep.
I ship it.
Oh, no.
There might be other types as well, because this one is very plot specific, where the other ones are more trope specific. But this one, yeah, that fits very well.
All
And
right.
I think in the comics, Tempest became like a mercenary type character, so I think she still fits.
Holy heck.
Yes.
I
You
gotta
mean
catch up.
Baby Twist?
I'm gonna dead name her to hell.
I'm so glad that we were calling her Fizzlepop Berry Twist. Anyway, let's move on here. What were you about to say, Heather? I heard that gasp.
Oh, I was gonna say, wouldn't dead naming her be calling her Fizzlepop Berry Twist because she chose the name Tempest, and in the comics, I think I remember she would like correct like people she used to know. They'd be like, "Oh, Fizzlepop." She'd be like, "My name is Tempest. Thank you."
She just kind of came up with it on the spot at one point, but yeah, I don't know. So we've talked about Dere. We have not talked about Dere. So let's see what a Dere is. Sadistic characters that get off on toying with characters on an emotional and physical level. If they find a love interest, they better be a masochist who can take the beating. Chrysalis.
Chrysalis,
Chrysalis.
but do you guys
Chrysalis.
remember Rarity's rival in the Manhattan episode?
Surrey Polo Mare.
Yeah, she'd be like, "Okay," and stole her fabrics. That's totally that shit.
Not wrong.
Not wrong.
Do we have any other characters that can fit this?
Shoot. I don't.
I'm saying one, but I'm not saying one, so I can't really argue for it.
I did think of another one for that Prince one from earlier.
Yeah, tell me.
Just forgot his name, but the manager from the Applejack's pop star friend.
Oh yeah, Sven Gallop.
Sven Gallop, yes.
Oh, yeah.
He
wanted to
is
be a
totally
prince.
the one that wants to be treated like a prince.
All right, so there's a part 2 here. What do you?
You scrolled up, you passed it. It's right there.
I got it tabbed.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'm one step ahead. Yangyre. What the heck? We're not even in Dares anymore. Gire. Okay. Let's see here. It's similar in some ways to Yandere. It is a character who may start out nice and sweet, but becomes very aggressive and psychotic. However, unlike Yandere, Yangyre do not become violent because of the attraction to a character. Instead, they may snap simply because they're irritated with the character, and it has nothing to do with their love interest. So Yandere, but more random. What do you guys think?
Shoot.
Maybe Tarek?
Maybe Tarek. I was gonna say Discord again.
Yeah.
Wait, which
Yeah.
one are we talking about right now?
So if we go to all
Yangyre.
the Dere types part 2, which if you scroll to the bottom of all the Dere types part 1, or all the Dere types, you can find a link to it underneath a circle with a little dancing girl with her arms waving up and down.
Alternatively, I'm streaming it on Discord.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Discord.
I'm howling at the moon and say, out of my head, Heather.
Snap at someone for being irritating.
All right.
I'll snap at you right now.
Definitely reminds me of Discord.
I can see Discord in that simply because when he gets irritated or mad, he tends to resort to chaos.
I suppose maybe Sombra?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
He's always irritated, so I can't really see that. But
What? No.
Sombra's also treated like a prince.
yeah, I was gonna say Sombra's more of that Prince one, but I could see Discord in that one. If we're going back to when Fluttershy was talking about her new friend, he definitely snapped very, very hard.
Yep.
And another one in a case when everyone left and it was just him, Spike, and Big Mac. He didn't snap as hard as he did before, but he was still trying to fit in, so it made things seem difficult, and he finally just lost it towards the end, and may not lost it where he caused chaos, but he became very sad.
All right, so Thug Dere. So let's see what a Thug Dere is. Like we really need to. A character who often mistreats their lover but is also very sweet. Heather.
What? You're totally off. But Thug Dere, as in a My Little Pony character, who have we seen like that?
I think we need to look first for a character who is first a thug.
Sombra?
Well,
No. You're all wrong. Diamond Tiara.
Oh, I could see that.
We
Before
could
her
have
reform. Yeah, definitely before her reform, and then
we could be looking at characters like, who are the two characters who encouraged Trixie in her introduction? Snips and Snails. Like, I could see them being
Yes.
kind of the thug,
I
the
could see
thug
Trixie
character
being
type, the thug trope, as well as Trixie.
We got Gilda in the chat from Brightheart.
Oh, that's a good one.
Gilda is a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
one.
who's Gilda again?
Gilda, the Griffin.
Oh yeah,
Grandpa
definitely.
Gruff, maybe?
Grandpa
Early
Gruff totally.
rarity with
I'm going
Spike.
with my theories.
Yeah. What'd you say,
Early
DJ?
rarity with Spike.
Early rarity with
No.
Spike.
Nah, she wasn't a thug to him.
She stabbed him multiple times.
He could take it.
Yeah, but that would be a different type. Like, thug is more identity than just stabbing.
It doesn't say the character has to be a thug.
I know, but it is. We're talking about tropes here.
All right.
Don't see it.
So I'm saying Diamond Tiara, and yeah, we had a couple of good examples on that one. Shundere, sad, depressed, as description suggests. Shanderes are usually sad and depressed. They don't talk to many people, but open up slightly if they cranky.
Moon Dancer.
Cranky Doodle Down.
Moon Dancer is way better than what I thought.
Oh yeah.
What about Pinky's sister?
Which one? Because
Nah,
she's
I
got
don't
three.
think that fits mod.
Marble?
No.
Mod, yes.
Yeah, I could see Marble, but Marble does it to herself. She doesn't talk.
She got heartbroken.
Yep. Shouldn't have been going after. Shouldn't have been going for someone out of her league.
Her third
What-
cousin.
Shouldn't have been going for family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not saying that she's not that trope.
right. But yeah, I guess you're right. We're not saying she's not a Shundere. I suppose. Let's see what else we've got here.
We talked about Baka.
We talked about Baka. We talked about Khan.
We need to bring up Bakadere, at least for the fans. There is a very obvious Bakadere
Is it
in the
Derpy?
series. We're talking about Derpy hooves.
I wish Sweetie was here to say.
How is that?
I wish Sweetie was here to hear me say it's Derpy.
Yeah, just so she could scream out, "It's not Derpy!" But
I
wait,
still
it
don't get
is.
that joke. That's an inside joke that Sweetie Bloom and another one of our friends have. But yeah, we just say is it Derpy, and we just say is it Derpy. She goes, it's not Derpy. She gets really upset.
Okay. She definitely fits the trope. Whatever you think about whoever Derpy is, it's a trope, and she fits the themes.
All right, so now we've got some of this here. Some Dere. Dere, messed up character who's sweet and lovable on the outside, messed up and disturbed on the inside. What is the difference between Yandere?
I was about to say that's just a Yandere again.
Okay.
Felt like it's a flip
was
Yandere,
another-
maybe?
There was another one which Yagidere or whatever, which specified that Yagure, which specified that the being messed up was not because of the love interest. And this one is also saying not because of the love interest, but it doesn't give the context.
Alrighty then. So let's see. Yeah, I don't think we know enough about that one. Let's go to.
So we'd essentially be looking at any character with a mental illness or something like it in the series.
Screw Loose is the only canon example we have of mental illness.
Maybe Discord? Again?
Damn it, Discord.
Trixie.
No!
I think it's Trixie.
I will throw you out of this room.
Okay.
You could be looking at maybe like certain examples of parents or something that acted awkward. I don't know, but
Oh, that'd be Hondo, Flanks, and Cookie Crumbles, Rarity's parents. And I'm not just saying that's a doggone rarity this time. I think they were genuinely awkward, strange people.
I guess.
All right, so let's
That's
see.
why they were never seen from again.
Yeah, let's see. Ojo Dere. Ojo Dere, a young lady who's prim and proper with a strict exterior but a sweet inside.
This feels very familiar. I feel like there's someone who fits this to a T.
whoa,
Oh, Harsh
Diamond
Winnie.
Tiara.
Harsh Winnie.
Harsh Winnie, yeah.
I suppose.
Diamond Tiara.
so
Also
this is the same trope we were talking about with Imidere, Like, it's literally the same word or the same prefix I was talking about. Ojosama, Ojodere. It's just using a different word instead of Hime with the princess. Ojosama is going to be more like some more abstract form of nobility.
Interesting. Okay, Bokan Dere with the twin guns. Young
Again.
master, a spoiled character who considers themselves better than anything else. If you, but if you're near endear him throughout. Somebody needed to check their spelling here.
Yeah.
So basically the male equivalent of the Ojo Dere is what I'm gathering from this.
It doesn't look like that at all.
Yeah, what was the thought with this?
No idea. I don't know who this character is. He looks like he's wearing an X-Men belt.
And a raccoon.
I don't think we have a young.
Reverse image search it later.
Yeah.
Maybe Rumble?
Rumble. We don't see enough of Rumble. But yeah, actually, if we saw that one episode of Rumble really showing his colors, and he did kind of act like that.
Kind of spoiled?
Kind of spoiled, because he's like, oh, my brother's a Wonderbolt, that's all I'm going to do with my life.
We don't really have a lot of young male characters to fit with that.
Yeah, we do not.
Okay, so Byoki
I
Dere.
think we talked about this one.
Did we?
I think so. I don't
Usually
think we
very
know.
sweet and
Yeah.
kind, but suffer from some disease, usually a fatal one.
We talked that before stream.
Yeah, we did. Okay, so
Well,
before
there's no
stream.
one sick in MLP.
Yeah, not outside of. Not
Find
outside.
a plotline with it, but it wouldn't be a super memorable one. We'd have to go to Brawny for that.
The only thing I could say is those two Make-A-Wish characters.
Aw.
Oh, I know exactly who this fits.
Who?
Granny Smith.
Oh,
No.
well, she's frail.
She's old.
She died.
Yeah, I guess that's as frail as you
I
can get.
diagnosed you with death. Okay.
So we have a new type, Necrodere.
Ew.
Let's see here. Daru Dere. What is Daru Dere? Your skirt is way too short, miss. It's a character which is similar to Kudere, however, do show emotion. They show emotion, but act as if they have no interest. That's just a tsundere!
The same.
No. Tsunderes have to be embarrassed.
Tsunderes are often violent. This
So,
one just like
Who shows emotion but doesn't show emotion toward the person that they love?
But like flat out blunt is pretty much what I feel like that's saying.
I'm a little confused about the description.
Yeah, I'm guessing, well, there's a lot of people, oh god, I can't believe I'm about to do this. There's a lot of people that wrongly ship Trixie with Starlight, and that would probably be that. It would probably be Trixie in that scenario.
Oh yeah.
no. From the description, it sounds like they would ignore the love interest and usually not interact with them or avoid.
Go back
them.
down to the description of that for me, Brawny.
Yeah, you got it.
So, I can see where Brawny's going, but in the sense, like, Trixie is very self-centered. So she does show emotion, but not necessarily romantic interest emotion. She doesn't want to give anything up to Starlight, even though they have a half-decent relationship. Does that make sense?
I suppose.
Honestly, I could kind of see Limestone fitting in this one.
I need to go guzzle that whole bottle of wine I just bought for Heather. I feel dirty.
I would.
Brawny,
watch
do you
that.
have two of those?
Oh jeez. Let's see here. What do we got? What else do we got? Soonshun. What is a Soonshun? That character looks very young. Unlike a tsundere, put up a harsh front to protect themselves from pain. A character who's often regret their heart's behavior afterwards. Was this put in through a translator?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, like, unlike a tsundere, they're more guilty about it.
That's Starlight. That is definitely Starlight.
Starlight can go eat it.
Yeah, okay, so somebody who's not just horribly prejudiced for no reason.
No, there's plenty of reason.
Okay, but for a good reason.
So I mentioned Fluttershy for part of this, but kind of the wrong part. Like, she doesn't put up the front to protect herself, but she does definitely regret her harsh behavior afterward.
That's exactly what I was going to say too. I can definitely agree with that.
I could also maybe see Applejack.
When has Applejack regretted anything she's done, unless she, like, accidentally ruined Apple Bloom's day for some reason?
Well,
She
doesn't
accidentally
like
ruined
getting tough
Rarity's
with people.
fashion show.
That's true.
Or when she didn't say anything about the tunic that the Flam were selling.
The tonic, yeah.
Tonic, yeah.
Tonic,
There are a
yes.
couple of instances where basically anybody critiquing Applejack's character were quick to point out that she was always the first to apologize, and that was an element of her honesty. In particular, I'm thinking of the Fall Weather Friends, where they had the race, and she apologized to Rainbow Dash that she had been somewhat obnoxious during the race, when, like, it's obvious they were both being equally obnoxious. Applejack was the first one to regret it and apologize.
All right. So we reached the end of that article. Let's hammer out some of these audience asks that we've been getting. We haven't gotten too much, but we've gotten a couple here. Marilyn Wolves says, Rarity is obviously tsundere.
We already had this debate.
Well, I mean, if she wants to bring up a point.
Yeah, but that was like an hour ago, so... Paladin Pony T says, have you ever run into a person that fits any of these character types? So let's go down the line here and say, think of the first trope that comes into your head and then someone you know from real life who fits that trope. Sunshine, start us off.
Oh, I'm glad you picked me.
Well, I was going to get to you one way or another.
Yes, but I'm glad you picked me first. Neandary, it refers to a character that has many cat-like attributes at times, and sometimes they'll add neon or some other cat-like phrase, I'm gonna suppose, to their sentences.
If you know anybody that does that in real life, I'm so very sorry.
They could be a cosplayer, Brawny.
That doesn't make it any better. If anything, it makes it
could be
worse.
my 12-year-old niece.
Goodness gracious. Well, okay, so there's a chance she'll grow out of it.
Have you taught her uwu yet?
Ooh. I give that chance about a 2%.
Okay. So,
no. My niece is very much like that. She tends to... her jacket that she has cat ears and a cat tail on it, and she... 90% of the time, she'll do something like... and turn her head sideways like a question, like she just did right there. And you didn't hear I was doing that mew there, but she just did it to show me off.
Be careful, if you're demonstrating, you might turn yourself into a yandere.
I will never do that. I do that with Neko all the time.
I think we need to quit this nonsense. Bryan, what do you think?
I will.
You mean for my trope that I want to bring up?
Yeah, who bring up a trope and tell us someone you know that fits that trope.
I think I want to bring up Brawny as a tsundere.
How frickin' dare you? I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. I've known it was coming since before we started the stream, but how frickin' dare you? Why?
I have to be the one to bring this up. Brawny and I have an interesting relationship. You'll see it all the time on stream. I like trolling him, and he likes responding aggressively to whatever I say as a joke. And it's not necessarily romantic, but we are roommates, and we do have a lot of fun doing this. And he doesn't necessarily respond because he absolutely hates what I'm saying. It's kind of a little bit of embarrassment. He kind of enjoys it, but he doesn't want to show it.
I don't know what to freaking say. He's just right. DJ, how about you?
Yeah, he took mine.
Oh, man.
Heather?
I was gonna say you too! No!
My niece is sitting over there with her headphones in, listening to the stream since she can't hear it through my headphones. And she just fell off the bed laughing.
Oh my god! Bryan's dead!
Did
I
he
came
leave?
on this stream without fear for my life, but I made a mistake.
Okay, so
Everyone made a
Did
mistake.
he go and
didn't they?
attack Bryan? Did he go and
Yes!
attack the toaster?
Yes!
and no, I didn't. I just went to the other room and let it.
Damage.
I just went to the other room, blew off some steam for a second. All right. Heather is a commissary. Moving on.
I have a god complex?
You darn right you do. Trent Jerome says, Brawny won that one daily double in when we were talking about Rarity being an old maid.
No, we were not being an old maid.
And
Shut up.
on that
He is an
same
old maid.
in that same vein, Crazy Horror 116 says hashtag no hate for Rarity.
I'm glad that you said horror on stream. You could have
It's
had me read it.
it's her name. What do you want me to do? Someone's gonna come up. Anyway, Equine
if
Productions
anybody-
says nope. Fluttershy would definitely be a Haji Dere.
Wasn't that what we assigned Twilight?
Might have been.
Or was that something else?
Yeah, I think that was the one we assigned Twilight.
I think yeah.
I'll
So,
have to go
so
check.
does somebody
Yes.
have them up still?
Yes, that is the one we described Twilight as.
Haji Dere.
Haji Dere refers to the
We
character
lost.
who.
I'm losing sound here. Hang on.
Me too.
Bryan, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, now we can hear you. Repeat that, please.
I was going to bring up while we were on the previous subject of suggesting people that we know who fit different types. There was one that we missed because it was on a different page than the all the Dere types. But
Yeah.
there was a Yada Dere, which is a type who is constantly drunk. So I was going to suggest if anyone needs an easy pitch, so they don't have to double up on Brawny, just think of somebody who's drunken in love, and you've got a Yada Dere.
Oh, you mean me?
DWK?
Because I think I've been drunk on stream a good too many times.
So we've got a Tsundere with a Yada Dere pairing.
Yep.
How does that make you feel?
It
I
makes
would-
me. I can physically feel the hair falling out of my head.
I can't say much about me because I physically can't get drunk, so
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's impressive.
too high of an alcohol tolerance, unfortunately for me.
All right. So, do we think Fluttershy is a Haji Dere? Does anybody still have the page pulled up? They might be able to tell
Haji
us.
Dere type refers to a character who is very nervous and embarrassed around their crush, will easily blush near their love interest, and might even faint from being so bashful.
So that doesn't sound right because Fluttershy only maybe showed
It's
romantic.
season 1 Flutters.
Yeah, but that's just with the general populace, and this is referring specifically to a romantic context.
I could see it, but it definitely would need to play out before I'd say for sure.
Yeah, I'd say that one would have to depend on the episode.
Alrighty then, and the last one we've got here, Daneth Rab says, I'll add this input here since hopping away. I think Applejack might be a tsundere.
And I could see that. She's definitely a bit prideful and she might not admit to things at first. It's just another interpretation. I probably just didn't want to put more than one tsundere label on a main 6 character. But yeah, maybe I could see it. It's a debatable one for sure.
Alrighty then. So does anybody else have anything they want to say or take away before we close tonight out?
Well, someone mentioned Sunset in the chat.
Okay.
Sunset Shimmer.
We do not talk about my mother in this place. No, I'm kidding.
I see
Honestly, I
Brightheart
would say
saying.
Tsundere.
I was saying Brightheart was late to the party and wanted to know what Rainbow was. We tackled Rainbow Dash first and decided that she was the definitive tsundere.
Yeah, we were like almost unanimous on that, right?
Yeah.
Almost unanimous.
Oh, we were unanimous.
we were
weren't
we were unanimous.
Holy crap.
Heather, take 10 seconds. The CMC. What deres are they? Do you think?
Okay.
Oh God.
I think Sweetie Belle might be the Haji Dere. Scootaloo might be a tsundere like her idol, and Apple Bloom, she might be a Dere. That's just me going very fast.
Apple Bloom is a Yandere.
Really? I don't
That's
know.
a
The
strong
episode after they got their cutie marks.
Oh
the first
yeah,
CMC after they got the
does
cutie
kind
mark.
of act like she's going downhill after that.
Yeah, I get.
Here's one for you guys.
Mhm.
The CMC as a whole, referring to them as a unit rather than an individual person, I could see Yundere as for any cutie mark problem, they always say yes to helping out.
That's definitely something. Yeah. If they were a unit after one.
That's what I'm
person.
saying. I'm looking at them as a whole, all three of them together.
Yeah.
All right.
I can see that.
Okay, so I think the best point made tonight was by Chucklyfun, who said that these Dere types rely a lot more heavily on the plot rather than the overall story rather than just the character tropes themselves. And I believe that because I vouch heavily for the idea that characters are flexible things just like people are and can change depending on the situation. But I hope everybody learned something about the different Dere types out there. Even if
I learned that's a thing.
Yeah, even if we come away with slightly fewer brain cells for it. And I hope we all had fun. What do you think? What do you think, gentlemen and Heather? Did we have fun?
I definitely had fun. I know it depends mostly on story, but I definitely like to kind of think about if they were put in such a story situation, because we didn't get that very often in the show, romantic subplots.
It's because friendship is magic.
It is magical, but is not romance the next step in friendship?
Indeed.
So everyone should have got married at the end.
You know something? I'm surprised Cadence never came up during the stream.
That is...
Cadence is too perfect.
Yeah, she's not
She
even
might
a
be
Dere.
Dere core.
Dere Core. Oh yeah, she is where all Dere is derived.
Alrighty then. So
Dang
yeah,
it, Cadence ruining the world.
big thanks to all of my generous supporters on Patreon for supporting this content, making it possible, making it easier for me to to make videos, especially the $10 and up tier, 3 of which are in this chat with us: Princesses, Sunshine, Sparkle, and Heather Blossom, DJ Skywalker, as well as Shady Oak Ministry, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden, Girder, Senko, Jennan, Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, Stephen A. Wilson, Rein-Kun, Bootleg Bard, the Silly Fox Zorro, Arc 720, and the Equestrian City Heroverse series. Please check out all their links in the description if you would like to be on the show. I would love to have you. We just need to get you on the Patreon Discord for as little as $1 a month. So be sure to check that out and see what you can get for supporting me. If you want to hang out with us some more on live streams next Friday, we've got Friday Night Fights going on at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow night, Saturdays, at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Princess Heather Blossom here does her own live stream, and I hang out with her on that one. Heather, tell us about that.
So it is chaos and crochet. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to crochet and I'm going to drink some wine and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to be broadcasting live from Brawny's bedroom. So if you want to look at that, yeah, tune in tomorrow at my channel. We're going to have a little bit of fun, right?
Yep, and her channel is listed in the description as well, given that she's on my Patreon for some weird reason. But yeah, I hope you all had a great time tonight. Thank you for coming out. Sorry for the false start. But thanks for sticking around regardless. And I hope you all have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next time. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, see ya.
Good night, everyone.